What's up everyone, it's Joey, Blush Response, and today I'm talking about synthesizers that I regret selling. We've all been there selling stuff that we later miss and can never get back, and I've got quite a few, so let's hear about them. First up on the list is the mini Moog Voyager. I had one of these early on in my synth journey and I just didn't fully get it. I knew mini Moogs were cool and I had read about them on forums, and I found a Voyager locally quite cheaply, and I didn't get it. Like, it sounded cool, but I didn't really know what I was doing with programming. I ended up selling it and then buying a Nordly 2X, which was more my speed at the time, and I think is a fantastic synth. But it would have been cool to have the Voyager now, and every time I use one, I'm super impressed with the sound, and you know, Moog stuff is just amazing, so maybe one day again. Next one is the Korg MS20. Before the MS20 Mini, I had an original Korg 35 filter MS20 from the 70s, and I used it a lot on my earliest music, and it was amazing. It really opened my eyes, and it was directly responsible for me getting into modular synths because I would patch it with a Sherman filter bank. I miss it so much. It sounded so good, and I would just love to get another one day. Next up is the Korg C1. I had this for a brief time here in Berlin, and I couldn't keep it long because I had some bills to pay, but I ended up using it on the Impulse Controls record that I did with Antal on one of the tracks there, and it sounded so cool. And now I have the Prophecy, which I've used a lot, but the Z1 offered a bit more with its polyphony and more knobs and better interface and bigger keyboard. So I would love to get one again and give it a shot. I also think that those 90s physical modeling engines are still unrivaled. Nothing comes close to the Z1 Prophecy or the Yamaha VL to this day. Next up is the Kawaii K5000s, another one I got while in Berlin, and I made great use of it on a few tracks. One I can think of is You Are a Valid User from my Exodus release, and Live in Fear of Conflict on my Abuse Your Freedom EP. Live in Fear of Conflict is like 90% K5000s, and on You Are a Valid User, it does a pad sound there, I believe. But I thought it was such a great synth, and there was so much to explore. I get kind of in that zone now with the XAOC Odessa, so I don't feel that I'm missing additive, but I think as a total package, the K5000s was unique and cool, and they're only going up in value, so it will be hard to get one back for what I paid. And also, when I tried to sell it, no one really wanted it, so I didn't really make money on it. I think I even lost money on it. Next up is the Electron Mono Machine. No intro needed here. The synth is legendary by now and people have caught on, and the prices are astronomical. I had one for a short time when I was playing with Scar the Martyr. I actually bought it to have a fun sketch pad on the tour bus, and I would lay down in my bus bunk with it and the Analog 4 because it came around the same time, and just make little jams with them both separately. And I ended up selling both because once I got back from the tour, I was way into the modular and they were uninteresting to me. But nowadays, both are super interesting to me, and I've gotten the Analog 4 back since, but the Mono Machine is just one that it's too expensive now, and I miss it so much. I've borrowed a few friends here and there and used them on tracks, and they're fantastic. Next up is the sister unit to the Mono Machine, the Machine Drum. Goes without saying, it's fucking amazing. I borrowed Face Fatales and did a video on it, and I've used it on a bunch of tracks, and I have it here now, and it's awesome. Probably will dethrone the Rhythm from my favorite drum machine ever. I wish there was a modern version with modern features like overbridge and stuff just to update it, the better sequencer features. There is that OS update with the Mega Command, I forget what it's called, like XO7 or something, and that's cool, but a newer take would be even better, and I would just love to have the original in my possession as well. Next up is the Waldorf Microwave XT. This one is another one that needs no intro. It's legendary now. The XT and the Q are synths that just sound good no matter what you do, and they can go extremely deep with their synthesis, especially for their time. I have the Quantum, and I still miss the XT, even though I love the Quantum to death. Whenever I use the XT, it just sounds good. The Quantum takes a bit of work sometimes, and I have a lot of moments with the Quantum where I'm like, wow, this is the best thing I've ever heard. But the XT is the best thing I ever heard. You know, it's in that category every second of using it, and it's just so special. There's nothing that has sounded like it. It's beautiful. It's my favorite of the Waldorf synths. Next up on the list is the Metasonic Retch Machine. I had one of these for quite a long time. It was number 76 out of 96, and I used it a lot on Fear Factory's album, The Industrialist. It's all over that. I used it on various tracks, remixes, everything under the sun in many ways. around the time of owning it from like 2012 to 2014-ish. I ended up selling it around when I decided to move to Berlin because I didn't want to bring so many things with me. I felt that the sound palette was limited, which it was, but at the end of the day, there's nothing that sounds like it, and now they're so rare that I'm sure I will never find one again without paying a ridiculous amount of money that I simply just can't pay. I'm not gonna pay 10 grand for one of those, you know. It's amazing though, and when I tried to sell it, nobody wanted it. I couldn't even sell it. I think I only sold it for like 2,600, literally 2,600. So you know, goes to show that one was one to keep for sure. Next up on the list is my old STS Surge modular. I have random source Surge modules now and they sound just as good, but having the full system that I had a creature and an animal, so it was 1.5 panels, and it was just amazing to use, like incredible sound, and the STS stuff offers some modules that random source doesn't yet. They might eventually. Overall, it was cool to have, and it was another one that I sold in preparation for going to Berlin, and I really miss it. It would have been amazing to have, especially now. Even with my fully built out Eurorack modular with Surge stuff in it, I still value the completeness of that Surge instrument. Also, it was a whole lot of modules that I don't have, like the DTG, the VC Time Gen Oscillator, the Surge mixers and VCAs, which are highly underrated. It was just awesome. And that, I will say, the Surge system is the best sounding synth of all synths I've ever heard in my life. Surge modular is the #1 for me. I don't think I've ever said that before, and I rate a lot of stuff very high. You know, in a top 10, it is the #1. Next up, my most missed synthesizer ever is the Dave Smith Poly Evolver. I had these when they were new. I used them all over the place. It's all over Fear Factors, The Industrialist. It's all over all the music I was releasing at the time. Around when I was moving to Berlin, the Pro 2 was announced and I ended up getting one. I sold the Poly Evolver to get it, and I thought the Pro 2 was the upgrade of the Poly Evolver. It wasn't. The Pro 2 is awesome, but something about the Poly Evolver was a bit more special in regards to the sound and everything, and I really missed it, and I couldn't enjoy the Pro 2 because it just wasn't doing those things that I liked about the Poly Evolver. Even though I liked what I was getting from the Pro 2, I just felt like I was missing something all the time. So when I got to Berlin, I ended up selling the Pro 2 and getting the Analog Rhythm, which took me on such a journey. So no regrets there, but I regret the Poly Evolver. And I'm happy to say that I got a Mono Evolver keyboard. So it's not the Poly Evolver, but it's the sound engine, and I'm happy about that. If I want to make pads, I can sample it. I'm so happy to have the Evolver back. From the first second of turning it on, I just felt instant goosebumps, like, oh, finally this sound is back in my studio. There's nothing else that sounds like it. And honestly, Dave Smith's later synthesizers, though cool, I don't feel are as forward-thinking as the Evolver series was, especially for the time. There was nothing like the Evolver. It had analog at a time that analog was uncommon, and it had futuristic digital techniques that are in few synths to this day. The combination of bit crushing, multiple delay lines, Prophet VS wavetables with FM, and ring mod, and all this other kind of stuff, the very advanced sequencer. It's just so next level. And I understand why he makes the Oberheim and Prophet stuff, because those are the money makers. But I wish Sequential would do something as a sequel to the Evolver. It would be amazing to see. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I have 2 special announcements to make. As you know, my new album Neuroscape is up for pre-order. It's out April 4th on double LP. I've got 2 guest appearances from Bon Harris of Nitzer Ebb and Richard Devine. I'm really excited about this album. Having them on there is a huge honor for me, and their contributions are amazing, and I just am stoked for you all to hear it. Currently, there are 2 tracks streaming from the album, Submit and Watching Yourself Being Born, and more will be revealed, and there will be more premieres as time comes. But the vinyls are already in, so if you pre-order now, the link will be in my profile. You can get a copy maybe before the release date. Also, I'm going to be joining Frontline Assembly on their upcoming European tour this May, playing synths. I'll have my modular up there and be making crazy sounds along with them. The lineup will be me, Reese Fulber, and Bill Lieb. I'm hyped for this. I played with Frontline a few times before, and finally excited to be on this tour, so I hope to catch you there. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, there's going to be affiliate links in the comment description, in the video description and pinned comment where you can do that. Buying any gear through those links will support my channel. Check out my Patreon, buy my music on my Bandcamp, buy music from my artists on Megastructure, and don't forget to smash like and subscribe here. Until next time, peace out.